Track 16. Timeline.
1961. Born in Sao Paulo, SP. 1968. Begins school and starts drawing. 1975. As a public school student, he received a scholarship to study at a drawing and sculpture academy. 1979. Pursuing the advertising and propaganda course. 1980. Started working at a small advertising agency. 1983. Although he does not speak English, he buys a ticket to the USA and lands in Chicago. He does various jobs as an illegal immigrant. 1984. During his first trip to New York, he made the big decision to move to the city. 1985. While working in a frame shop, he began attending openings and learning more about the art world. 1987. He began working with sculptures, developing his first work series. 1988. With the Reliquary series, he begins to work with the object as an image. First exhibit in a gallery. 1991. Returned to Brazil while awaiting his visa. Soon after, he moved to Paris. 1992. He returned to New York and dedicated himself entirely to photography. 1993. Became editor of the contemporary photography magazine Blind Spot. 1994. Creates pictures of wire, the first in which he uses ordinary objects to create images that are later photographed. 1996. The first exhibition of Sugar Children in New York. The series is considered a turning point in Muniz's work. 1997. Curatorship of the exhibition Making It Real through Independent Curators International, NYC. 1998. First solo show at a prominent museum, the International Center of Photography, ICP, NYC. He participates as a guest at the 24th Sao Paulo Art Biennial, curated by Paulo Herkenhoff. Curatorship of the show Beyond the Edges, an insider's look at early photographs at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, NYC. 1999. Won the Líderes Latinoamericanos para el Nuevo Milenio Award, granted by CNN Times. Retrospective Vic. Seeing is believing at the ICP. Afterwards, the show tours various North American museums. Lecture at the Hamilton College, NYC. 2000. He participates in the project A Quietude da Terra, the Earth's Quietness, at the Museum of Modern Art of Bahia, Mamba, in Salvador, where he lives during the production months. Invited by photographer Stephen Shore to the position of photography professor at Bard College, NYC, 2000 to 2002. Publishes Vic Muniz, Clayton Days, Picture Stories by Vic Muniz for Very Little Folks, Frick Art Museum, USA. 2001. First Brazilian artist to receive an invitation from the Whitney Museum, NYC, to hold a solo exhibition. Invited for a large-scale ephemeral public art project. Using a plane, he draws stylized cloud shapes in the Manhattan sky over the course of several days. Artist representing Brazil at the 49th Venice Biennale, Italy. Lecture Brazil, Body and Soul at Harvard University, USA. Summer residency program of the School of Painting and Sculpture in Maine, USA. 2002. Invited by the Public Art Fund and by the Brooklyn Academy of Music for a public artwork project, NYC. 2003. He gives various lectures at important institutions such as the Art Institute of Chicago, Illinois, the Atlantic Center for the Arts, Florida, at the TED Talks headquarters, California, and as a guest artist in the MA program of New York University. He publishes 3 books, including Vic Muniz by Germano Celant, Museum of Contemporary Art of Rome, Italy. Celant was a renowned Italian critic who coined the term arte povera. 2004. Publication of obra incompleta, incomplete work, Edições Biblioteca Nacional, Publishing House, Brasil, featuring over 300 images as well as text by Moacir dos Anjos, James Elkins, and Shelley Rice. 2005. He works as the curator of various exhibitions such as Number 1, Identity Vi at Nishido Contemporary Art Tokyo. Number 2, Robert Mapplethorpe at Fortes Vilaça Gallery, São Paulo. And number 3, L'Empire Brésilien et ses photographes at the Musée d'Orsay, Paris, and writes a text for the catalogue accompanying the show. Publication of the book reflects a Vic Muniz primer, Aperture, USA. 2006. Solo exhibition Vic Muniz, Reflex, tours the USA, Mexico, and Latin America. Lectures at the ICP, NYC, and at Sotheby's Institute, London. 2007. Lectures at New York University, at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago, at the Guggenheim Museum, NYC, and the Baltic Center for Contemporary Art, United Kingdom. 2008. Moves to Rio de Janeiro, invited by the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA of New York, to curate an exhibition featuring works from the institution's own collection, resulting in the show Vic Muniz Rebus. Curatorship of the exhibition, Haptic, 3 Brazilian and 3 Japanese artists in Tokyo. Lectures at Art Basel, Miami, Florida, at Hunter College, NYC, at Stanford University, and at the California College of Art, both in California. 2009. Retrospective Vic tours to Rio, Rio de Janeiro, MASP, São Paulo, and the Museum Inimá de Paula, Minas Gerais, drawing a record audience of over 300,000 visitors. Publication of the critical catalog, Vic Muniz, Complete Works 1987, 2009, Edições Capivara, Publishing House, Brazil. Lectures at Brown University, Rhode Island, at the Williams College Museum of Art, and at Brooks Rogers Recital Hall, both in Massachusetts, at the Museum of Fine Arts of Boston, and at MoMA, both in NYC. 2010. Release of the film Wasteland, about the series of photographs taken at Jardim Gramacho, Rio de Janeiro. Among the awards it received are Sundance and Berlin Film Festivals, as well as a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature. 2011. Exhibition Vic at the Museum Collection Berardo in Lisbon, Portugal. Lectures at La Casa Encendida, Madrid, and at the International Museum Institute, NYC. 2012. Artistic residency at the MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Boston 2012-2013. He develops the Projeto Paisagem Landscape Project at the Rio Plus 20 conference, promoting sustainability. Produces a site-specific installation for the Lambert Collection in Avignon, France, open to the public during his solo exhibition, The Imaginary Museum, at that same institution. The project results in a publication. Curatorship of the exhibition Roessler Hotel, number 21, Buzz, at Nara Roessler Gallery, São Paulo. He gives various lectures such as at Boston University and at the MIT, USA, at Heiling St. Moritz Art Masters, and at the World Economic Forum in Davos, both in Switzerland, and at the seminar Creativity, the Playground of the Brain, Portugal. 2013. He receives the Crystal Award from the World Economic Forum in Davos. Lectures at the Des Moines Arts Center in Des Moines, Iowa, and at the Mint Museum Uptown, North Carolina. Publication of the Weimar Files, about the series created in collaboration with Frank Motz at the ACC Gallery, Germany. 2014. He participates in the 3rd Vancouver Biennale, Canada. Lectures at the Universities of Oxford and Cambridge, United Kingdom, at the Tel Aviv Museum of Art, Israel, and at the Museum of Contemporary Art of Lima, Peru. Publication of Vic Muniz, The Size of the World, Santander Cultural, Brasil. 2015. He participates in the 56th Venice Biennale with the floating installation Lampedusa. He inaugurates the Vidigal School of Art and Technology in Rio de Janeiro. Lectures at the High Museum of Art, Atlanta, at the University of Notre Dame, Indiana, and at the Venice Meeting Point, Italy. Co-edition of Blind Spot magazine, issue 47, 20th anniversary issue. 2016. He becomes the first living artist to exhibit at the Mauritshuis Museum in The Hague, Netherlands. Lectures at the University of Michigan, at the Pratt Institute, NYC, at Columbia College Chicago, Illinois, at the Eskenazi Museum of Art, Indiana, and at Nara Rosler Gallery, Sao Paulo. Publication of Vic Muniz, edited by the renowned North American photographer Arthur Ullman, Prestel, USA. 2017. Inaugurates Perfect Strangers, permanent installation at 72nd Street and 2nd Avenue Station, NYC, commissioned by MTA Arts and Design and by NYC Transit. Lectures at the Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden, Washington, Rena Branston Gallery, California, at the Phoenix Art Museum, Arizona, and at Magazzino Italian Art, NYC. 2018. He creates the Imaginaria series and opens a namesake exhibition at Fundação Casa Santa Inês in Rio de Janeiro as a fundraiser. Co-curatorship of Rosler Hotel No. 28, screen space at Nara Rosler Gallery, Sao Paulo. Publication of Vic Muniz Verso, Verlag für moderne Kunst, Austria. 2019. Lectures at the University of Navarra, Spain, and at the Princeton University Art Museum, USA. Curatorship of Glastress 2019 at the Berengo Art Space Foundation, Italy. 2020 and 2021. The traveling exhibition Vic Muniz opens at the University of Navarra. Lectures at the Jeu de Paume Art and Photography Center, France. Publication of Vic Muniz, Postcards from Nowhere. Limited edition of 500 copies, signed and numbered by the artist, Aperture, USA. 2022. Lecture at the Brooklyn Museum, NYC. 2023. Presents the series Flora Industrialis at the Museum of the University of Navarra, publishes a namesake book, and teaches a class at the same institution. 2024. Lecture at the Sorbonne University, France. Curatorship of a commemorative exhibition at the Brooklyn Museum of Art and the Angelo Venosa Show at Nara Rosler Gallery, both in NYC. 2025. Publication of Vic Muniz, volume of the Photography Workshop book series, Aperture, USA. Traveling exhibition Vic Muniz with the Naked Eye at the Ricardo Brennan Institute, Recife, and the Museum of Contemporary Art of Bahia, Salvador. 2026. Lecture at the Perez Art Museum, Miami. Opens the traveling exhibition Vic Muniz with the Naked Eye at the Rio de Janeiro Banco do Brasil Cultural Center. Opens the exhibition Rescaldo das Memórias, Embers of Memories, at the National Museum of Rio de Janeiro on May 28th.